Okay, I'm going to share with you how to complete assignments that have been assigned to you on StudySync. You should have watched a video already on how to log into StudySync. So once you've logged into StudySync, you'll come to your welcome screen. Then you'll be able to click on assignments. Since I'm in the teacher mode here, it's an assignment preview, so it's going to look a little bit different than what you see when you log in. However, you would click on the image that's going to go along with the text or the assignment. If it's a study skill, you'll click on the image and it'll bring you to a page that looks like this, especially if it's a reading text like the one I chose here. So during this video, I'm going to show you kind of how to go through the features of StudySync, how to complete an assignment, and kind of how to turn that in. So first of all, when you go to an assignment, this is what you'll see. And you'll see the name of the story. So this is the first story in 6th grade, 11, that we read. You can see there's an introduction tab, there's a vocabulary tab, a read tab, quiz tab, a StudySync TV tab, and a think tab. When you open up the first time, you see what the teacher has assigned to you. So on this example, there are 6 different tabs, 6 different things that need to be completed. When you open up your next StudySync assignment, maybe there'll be 4 tabs, maybe there'll be 5 tabs, but the important thing to remember is what the teacher assigned you, those are the tabs you need to complete. So please don't send an email or a communication to your teacher asking if you need to do the vocabulary tab or the quiz tab. If the tab is there, you do need to complete that. A couple more things to remember before I go through these tabs. This is not a Google Docs or a Google feature where you can just automatically expect it to save. In StudySync, there is some auto saving that happens, but you never know when it's going to auto save. So when you go to the next question, it might save, but you want to make sure that once you finish a page, once you finish the vocabulary page, that you click save. Once you finish the quiz, you go on to the next or click save so that it saves your work if you're going to open up the activity again. And then at the end, there is whatever the last tab is. So in this one, the last tab is the think. At the end, on the last think question, there will be a submit button. Same thing, this isn't Google where you have access and you can kind of unsubmit assignments, work on them again. Once you submit something in StudySync, it is turned in. You no longer have access, you no longer can go back and make changes. So make sure you check over all of the tabs and that you've completed all the things that are required before you click submit. So let's go ahead and just go through a typical story. Let's look at what you're going to be doing if you're doing 11, the story, or if it's a different story, kind of how to go through these different tabs, different features in StudySync. So the introduction, there is always going to be an introduction with a story, with some text, and then an introduction video. The text will play for you if you click the audio button here.
When her teacher insists that an ugly red sweater belongs to
So it's just reading what's here for me, and then I can click this video and it'll do a introduction video.
Rachel stares down at the old, ugly red sweater on her desk.
Rachel, the 11-year-old has accepted.
So I won't play that whole video or the whole introduction. You'll be able to do that on your own, but just showing you how the introduction works and that tab. Now you can see as I scroll down, there's nothing to complete here. I don't need to answer a question. I don't need to do any written responses. This is just the introduction. So I'm done with that tab once I've gone through it. The vocabulary tab is here. So if you have a story that's got vocabulary, you'll be required to complete that. It all looks very similar no matter what story you're reading. So for this one, 11, I can see there are 5 different terms. And then there's a couple different ways I can pull the definitions and pull it here. Or you can see when I hovered over this, I can select an answer. So first I'm going to do, I think I know what a germ is. A germ is something that's kind of contagious or that I can maybe get from someone else. So as I look through these, a small living thing that can cause sickness. So there we go. So I just looked at the definitions there. Invisible, I noticed that definition, so I'm going to pull that one, unable to be seen. Now, you can see I have some different tabs open on my computer, things that I've been working on, but I could open up a new tab right now and just go to Google. And that first word, I'm not sure what that one means. So I'm just going to type in this word alley and definition. Oh, that just even came up for me. So an alley, it says a narrow passageway between buildings. Oh, that does make sense. A path lined with streets, bushes or stones. Okay, I think I saw a definition similar to that. Alley, a narrow street located between buildings or behind buildings. So very similar definition. Okay, and then I can do the rest. Nonsense is going to be silly behavior. And raggedy must be in shabby condition, but I can double check that. I can look up raggedy definition using Google and just make sure I have it. So there we go. I've almost finished the tab for vocabulary. Now I need to do a sample sentence. For sentences, it should be a 6th grade sentence. It should be a sentence that's going to show I understand this definition. I'm not going to copy this sentence down or the definition down because that's not a sentence. It's the definition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a sentence with a capital letter, and I'm going to make sure that I explain how I know what this means. So I'm thinking of large cities and there being alleys kind of between buildings. So I'm going to say in Chicago, there are alleys between the big buildings. And I could even fix that, and sometimes we call those skyscrapers. There we go. And it's telling me that I spelled skyscrapers wrong. Check that out. That was pretty amazing. So it will even fix your spelling so you can make sure that you have that correct. And I put a period at the end. I have a complete sentence. Then I would go ahead and do that for the following sentences: germ, invisible, nonsense, and raggedy. Then do you see at the bottom, save and continue? This is where if I click to a different tab, it would not save my work. I could turn the assignment in and then I wouldn't get credit. So at the bottom of this tab, it says save and continue. I'm going to click that, but since I'm in preview mode, it probably isn't going to really save it for me anyway. Now I get to the reading. And one thing with the reading you're going to have to do is you can see the annotation tab is turned on, and you're going to have to complete annotations. That means as you read, you're going to place sticky notes as you read. So I'm going to do that. But before I get to that, I'm going to show you a couple other features up here at the top in the read. So you can see numbers. I can click that, and it's just going to show me the paragraph numbers. Next, I'm going to click audio.
What they don't understand about birthdays and what they
What
know.
that did was that just started reading. So with the StudySync assignments, if the teacher has that in the assignment where you can listen, you can click the audio and listen. Now you can see here there's a highlight button. If I click that, it'll highlight where the reader is reading. It's on slow right now. I can speed the reading up so I can have it faster or slower if I want. So I'm just going to show you those features here.
Never tell you is that when you're 11, you're also 10 and 9 and 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And when you wake up on your 11th.
So that's how the reading or the audio feature works. I'm going to turn off the highlight here. And next, hopefully I'm going to turn off that. Maybe I just need to click that off. There we go. So next I'm going to click the annotations. As you read, you're probably going to have to do annotations for your assignment. So if your teacher's expecting that, I'm going to show you how to do that. I think for this 11, the students will probably be making inferences. So I'm just going to kind of look at this here. I'm going to read a paragraph and make an inference. So here we go. Only today I wish I didn't have only 11 years rattling inside me like pennies in a tin Band-Aid box. Today I wish I was 102 instead of 11, because if I was 102, I would have known what to say when Mrs. Price put that red sweater on my desk. I would have known how to tell her it wasn't mine, instead of just sitting there with that look on my face and nothing coming out of my mouth. So as I read this, she says, only today I wish I didn't have 11 years rattling inside me. I wish I would have been 102 because if I was 102, I would have known what to say. So this has happened to me before, where I've had something where I wanted to speak up, but I just couldn't get the words. So I'm going to click here, annotations. I think I was in paragraph 5, and I'm going to highlight this. And I know the girl who's talking, her name is Rachel. So Rachel doesn't really know what to say. So I'm going to say, I can infer that Rachel wants to say something, but just can't get the words out. I can also infer that it's frustrating for her. So I'm going to say, this must be frustrating to her. There we go. So I have my first sticky note. Just going to show you this feature here. The teacher was asking you to do different colors. It's pretty easy. You just click on this down arrow here. And I'm going to do purple, create note, and now it's going to highlight that. And this says preview, annotations don't actually save. Well, you won't be in preview, you'll be completing it. So it'll save your annotations. So the teacher can, once you turn it in, see what you've highlighted and check over your annotations. So all they need to do is click on that, or you can click on it to see your annotations. So there's the reading tab. I think I covered most of the reading tab and how that works and how to annotate the audio and the numbers. Next, we have a quiz. And if your teacher gives you quizzes, you can see there'll be multiple choice quizzes over the story. Sometimes it'll be 5, sometimes it'll be 10. So here's the question. Here are the 4 answer choices, A, B, C, and D. Which of the following statements about the narrator is best supported by the following passage in paragraph 3? This gives it here, but if I wanted to look at the whole text, I could click that little split screen button and it'll have the whole text here for me. Okay? And it even gives me my annotations. Okay, I'm gonna get out of the split screen. And I would make my answer choice. I can look back. I can take as much time as I need, cross off answers kind of in my head that I think are incorrect, and choose the correct answer. So another thing I want to point out with StudySync is a lot of times there'll be a question, and then the next question refers to the question before. So let's see if it's question number 5 and 6 here. Which of the following best explains the narrator's feelings? So how does Rachel feel about the red sweater? And then question number 6 says, what passage from the text or from the story most strongly supports your answer to number 5? So whatever I chose for 5, how she felt about the sweater, I know she doesn't enjoy wearing it from what I remember of the story, so I know that isn't the correct answer. I think it might be D, that she's embarrassed that Mrs. Price and the other students think the sweater is hers. And then I need to figure out, well, which answer goes with that one. Okay? What different, looks like they have a quote from the story, is going to fit with that answer. Okay? Then once I get to question 10, I will match up these, and then you can see there's a save and continue. I want to make sure I click that save and continue so that if I stop and do something else and I come back into it, that it hasn't erased or that it didn't automatically save my answers before. So now I would have watched the introduction, I've completed the vocabulary tab, I've read the story, I've taken notes, annotations, I've done the quiz. This is a cool feature here. This is StudySync TV, where you get a chance to watch students talking about the story or the text.
I don't get it. What's the big deal? It's just a stupid sweater.
Okay, but it's not hers.
So what?
Hey guys, what did I miss? Hi, Delaney.
Hi.
So you can check and see this is about a 5-minute video of some students talking about maybe a writing prompt that has to do with the story, talking about maybe the plot of the story. So it's just going to give you some additional background, some ways in which we can kind of talk about a text or maybe answer questions. Sometimes there's going to be questions about that StudySync TV in the Think questions. You can see though, as I scroll down, there is no assignment to complete with the StudySync TV. You just need to watch the video. Then the last tab, which is the Think questions, these are the ones that you will answer in written format. You do want to make sure that you check and see how many StudySync questions there are. For this one, there's question 1, question 2, and question 3. And you do want to answer each of those questions. Question 3, that's the last one, and it's the last tab. So that's where the submit assignment is going to be. Remember, once you submit, you don't have access to it again. The teacher will grade it. So let's go back to question number 1. How does Rachel feel about the red sweater that's placed on her desk? Respond with textual evidence from the story as well as ideas that you have inferred from clues from the text. Now, here's a perfect example. If you remember when I looked at the quiz question, number 5 and 6 was very similar to this. So I can click back on the Read tab and I can use, well, Rachel felt embarrassed when that sweater was placed on her desk. And then question number 6 was actually a piece of evidence right from the text, so I can use that. So sometimes these StudySync questions, and that's probably happened on other quizzes that you've had before, where maybe you're not sure of an answer, and then you get later into the test or the quiz, and you find something that has to do with that earlier answer, and you can go back and use that information. So don't be afraid to kind of go back and check those quiz questions and your answers when you're doing the Think question. I'm going to stop the video here in just a moment, but I just want to remind you when you're answering these short answer questions here that you use a paragraph format. You're going to learn about something called the Peel format whenever possible. Your teacher is going to expect you to use the Peel format where you have a topic sentence, you have evidence, and you explain your evidence. So most of these questions, your teacher is going to be looking for a response from anywhere from 3 to maybe 8 sentences long. You're not going to have to answer these in an essay format, but you are going to have to write complete sentences with capital letters, punctuation, and topic sentences, and kind of like it says here, textual evidence from the story. But I'm guessing your teacher might explain that a little bit further and what the expectations are. But in this video, I thought it would be a good place for me to kind of share that when you're doing these written answers, complete sentences, 3 to 8 sentences is probably going to be what you want to do for most of your Think questions. So last thing, once you're done, I've completed all of these tabs, or once you've completed all your tabs, remember it's that last tab, which is Think, and it's going to be the last question, and it's going to be Submit Assignment. And that's when you turn in assignment. Your teacher really cannot grade it in StudySync until you've submitted that assignment. So make sure you pay attention to due dates and turn in assignments on time. Well, there you go. That shows how to go through the different tabs, the different features of StudySync. Enjoy.